I'd just like to talk very briefly about freedom, what freedom is, and what it means. A lot of people, politicians, like to talk about freedom. They like to talk about it. That's the emphasis here. Talk about freedom. They like to say the word. They like to say freedom. Oh, it's freedom, 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 freedom. But when you actually examine their policies, their voting records, their stated positions, you find out that they don't really believe in freedom. They just like the word, and I think that that's fine for most Americans because most Americans just like the word. They don't like the concept. There are some conflicting ideas about this. The two main ones, I guess, are that human beings are innately not free. There is this sort of intrinsic oppression. And if you look at most of history, there does seem to be some truth to that. There have always been kings, there have always been chieftains, and that any sort of rights that people have are granted to them by the government, whatever the government may be, whether it be a monarchy or a democracy or a social democracy or whatever. And then there are some other ideas. This one's kind of the Thomas Paine rights of man idea that people are inherently free, but the government exists to deprive them of freedoms. If you look at the biology of man, the biology of all life on Earth, really, you find over and over again, from organism to organism, that there is this pecking order, this social hierarchy, where it's basically this means of deciding who gets to eat first, this means of deciding who gets to mate with the desirable mate. Basically who gets to make the bed and then who gets to sleep in it, who gets to cook the food and then who gets to eat it. This is not something that is a human trait. We're not the only animals who organize ourselves in this fashion. Some male lions, they get to be the head of their own pride, and some male lions get to be scavengers who, basically starve to death. And this is decided by their strength, by their ability to control a territory, and so on and so forth. And in some cases, it's contingent upon whether or not they can cooperate, because some prides are headed up by two males who perhaps wouldn't be able to maintain a pride on their own, but through cooperation have been able to achieve that. There's always some sort of social structure that wherein some animals are higher than others. And I'm not talking about from species to species, I'm talking about within the same species. And human beings are no different. So I don't, I guess, hold to the Thomas Paine rights of man sort of idea that our rights are inherent. I think that what is inherent is the power structure. I think the state is inherent. Now, I don't think that the state itself is inherent, but I think that the forces that lead us to want to organize ourselves into followers and leaders, and it's a multi-tier system. It's not as simple as this is the leader and we are all the followers. So you're going to have all these different, little tribes and groups, and basically what the state is, what our current state is, and what the states are in every country across the planet are just different variations on that. They are the evolution of the power structure. So what freedom is freedom is an act of rebellion against not only the power structure itself, but against our inherent need to create that. Not even our need to create it, because we don't create it, it's just something we're born into. It's something that is formed by our very existence. When, if I were to take off all my clothes and get naked and walk through a public place, there's going to be a lot of people who look at me and, oh, God, that's disgusting. A naked, fat, white guy with a terrible body walking through the public square. I am disgusted. I am shocked. I want a law against this. And you know, there's going to be a majority of people who feel that way. And they're going to say, oh, God. Write a letter to your congressman, get a law passed, and you know, all of a sudden, indecent exposure is against the law. And then, you know, but there's going to be some people who say, you know what, that does offend me, and I do feel disgusted by it, but that's his right. Most Americans, they like the sound of the word freedom, and they like their own freedoms. They like the freedom to be able to do the things they like to do, but if something is a little bit out of their comfort zone, then they're, you know, all behind restriction. But of course people are always going to support their own agenda. That's just human selfishness. When people go beyond that selfish perspective and actually say, you know what, I don't like it, but I'm going to allow it, I think that's what freedom is. But most of us don't recognize that as freedom. Most of us only think of freedom in this one-dimensional sense of, do I have the freedom to do everything I want to do? And if I don't, then I'll fight for that issue. If someone doesn't have the freedom to smoke marijuana, then, you know, they fight for people to be able to smoke marijuana. I know plenty of people who are pot smokers who are for legalizing pot, but not for any other drug, because they don't do other drugs. There are plenty of people out there, you know, like there are plenty of gay couples out there who want gay marriage, but they still want to keep the ban on polygamy. You know, we're consenting adults in this situation. Yeah, they're consenting adults too, but that's different because we don't like that. That's not what we're interested in. And until people can start to escape their own narrow-minded perspectives, you're never going to have true freedom. Never.